Trump's inauguration speech, Peace in Ukraine, Canada unifying against Trump, interview with Professor Valentina Zarkova on global cooling, 10th International Anti-Communist Conference, Johnny, Jimmy and Jeff on strengthening the West, note to readers on screening of reader comments. Trump's bold speech. In his inauguration address last Monday, Trump spoke of the incompetence of government at all levels. He mentioned the devastating fires in California which have left many people homeless. He spoke of giving people back their wealth, health, and democracy. From this moment, America's decline is over, he said. The journey to reverse the decline of our country has not been an easy one. Trump spoke of surviving an assassination attempt. I was saved by God to make America great again. Trump also remarked on the government's attempts to jail him, vowing to curtail the politicization of the justice system. Underscoring national unity, Trump said, "We will move with purpose and speed to bring back hope to citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed." He talked of the support he received in the election from minority groups. He said, "National unity is now returning to America. My administration will be inspired by a striving for excellence, and we will not forget our God." He vowed to send troops to stop the invasion of our country. He also vowed to designate drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. Trump spoke of reviving the notorious Alien Act of 1798 to combat the illegal alien invasion. Trump also spoke of a renewal of freedom. Ideology would not be an issue. Race would be unimportant. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. He added, "There are only two genders, male and female." Trump said he would reinstate those booted from the military for refusing the experimental COVID vaccines with full back pay to fill the ranks of our depleted and demoralized military. "We will build the strongest military ever seen," Trump vowed. "My proudest legacy will be as a peacemaker and a unifier." He vowed to return the name of our tallest mountain to that of William McKinley. He paid respect to McKinley, who was famous for his tariffs. He then spoke of the unfair treatment of American ships at the Panama Canal. He noted that China now operates the canal, which is unacceptable. "We are taking it back," he said, noting that we did not give the canal to Panama so that Panama could give the canal to China. Editor's note, Moscow has since warned America against taking back the Panama Canal. Surprisingly, Trump committed to planting the American flag on Mars. This created a storm of applause. Trump spoke of America's pioneering spirit, courage, and dedication to freedom and prosperity. "I stand before you as proof that nothing is impossible. In America, the impossible is what we do best," he said. "We are one people, one family, one glorious nation under God." Trump's speech was inspiring. No president entering office has made such grand promises. At the same time, America has never faced such a powerful combination of enemies. Peace in Ukraine? Trump has promised to bring peace to Eastern Europe. The assumption is, of course, that peace is always better than war. If that were true, then America's founders were wrong to sign the Declaration of Independence, which was, in effect, a declaration of war on King George. If peace is always better than war, then we should have rushed to make peace with Hitler in 1942, and we should have surrendered South Korea in 1950. When an aggressor forces war on a nation, that nation has a choice: fight or surrender. Fighting is honorable and preserves liberty. With regimes like those in Moscow and Beijing, surrender leads to slavery or even genocide. According to the testimony of KGB and GRU defectors like Anatoly Golitsyn and Stanislav Lunev, Russia and China seek to destroy the United States of America. They want to occupy our continent and divide the land between them. The ruling power in America has ignored the testimony of these defectors. As Russia and China are determined to destroy the United States, the U.S. must back Ukraine. The Ukrainians not only oppose Moscow, Ukraine also shields NATO from overland Russian attack. If Russia cannot retake Ukraine, Russia cannot effectively threaten NATO or the United States. There is also the question of shared values. The Ukrainians are fighting for their liberty. This puts them squarely in the Western camp. Even as America has fallen behind Russia and China in advanced strategic weapons, the emergence of an independent Ukraine has prevented Russia and China from fully exploiting their strategic superiority against the United States. The Chinese, in fact, cannot threaten the United States without Russian help. The Russians, pinned down in Ukraine, do not dare widen a war they are already losing. Here we discover, contrary to the prevailing disinformation, that Ukraine is the key to America's future security. Besides the raw calculus of advantage, there is a moral and philosophical side to the question. Readers are directed to the words of Professor Michailo Wynykyj, taken from his book on the Euromaidan Revolution, where he recalls a night in December 2013. I would ride the long escalator down into Independence Square metro station, Wynykyj wrote, and I would observe the barricades. One evening, as I waited for the train, a group of young ladies, in their mid-20s, descended the escalator singing Ukraine's national anthem. Within seconds, several hundred people, who had been waiting quietly on the underground platform, stood at attention and sang. Wynykyj continued. I stopped observing. I sang too, and then I cried tears of joy. This was Kiev. No one ever sang the national anthem spontaneously here. That night, I addressed my Ukrainian diaspora friends through Facebook with the following message. Please be patient. Ukraine is in the midst of a very real and very significant social revolution. This revolution for many Ukrainians involves a new conceptualization of their values and identities. This is a painful process that needs to occur through collective action, introspection, and without external intervention. Americans do not realize how much they have in common with Ukrainians. Many think Putin is a Christian and Ukraine is an evil country. This is a seriously mistaken view. There has been, quite obviously, a massive Russian disinformation campaign aimed at persuading American conservatives to ditch Ukraine. Russia's vast agent networks, mafias, and hidden financial structures are exerting pressure, pushing false narratives of peace and reconciliation. Today we hear Russia's voice filtered through right-of-center podcasters and pundits. War is the greatest evil, they say. We need Putin as an ally against China, they titter. Those who oppose Russia are warmongers, they accuse. From the dawn of civilization onward, wrote Gustave Le Bon, crowds always have undergone the influence of illusions. 2. In respect of this, the Russians have been masters of illusion. They export their sweet poison, dispatched through various false fronts, and the West sucks it up. For decades the left embraced the Russian lies. Today the right also embraces those lies. If Americans could only understand what the Kremlin wants. If they only knew how dangerous it would be for Russia to get what it wants. Consider Boris Yeltsin's words to President Clinton at their last face-to-face meeting in Istanbul in December 1999. I ask you one thing, said Yeltsin to Clinton. Just give Europe to Russia. The U.S. is not Europe. Europe should be the business of Europeans. 3. Nothing has changed in the Kremlin since Stalin. Give Europe to Russia has been the refrain for many decades. Even Yeltsin said it. This is why Putin has invaded Ukraine as a stepping stone to Europe. Even Gorbachev spoke of the one common European home. Furthermore, we must not imagine that peace can be secured by feeding the Russian crocodile one country at a time, or by befriending the crocodile. When his stomach is empty, he will feed again. And now a summit is being scheduled between Putin and Trump. What will the respective negotiating positions be? According to my sources, the war in Ukraine will end within 120 days. One source claims that the blueprint for peace has 6 key elements. 1. Ukraine agrees never to join NATO. 2. Crimea remains Russian territory. 3. Donbass will become a semi-independent state that can vote in Ukrainian national elections while remaining under Russian occupation. 4. There will be new elections in Ukraine with votes coming from Russian-controlled areas. 5. The current Ukrainian government must go into exile prior to the elections. 6. All sanctions against Russia are removed. Would President Trump agree to all this? Several days ago, Trump advisor Eric Prince made some disturbing statements during an interview with Breitbart News. 4. Prince said that the war in Ukraine was a very unnecessary slaughter that's gone on for multiple years now. Prince added, there is no possibility that it's going to end in some armistice moment of Ukrainian victory. Besides, said Prince, by supporting Ukraine we have pushed Russia into China's arms. Given that Trump was elected to pursue the strategic interests of the United States, it is imperative that America make Russia into an ally. The assumption here is that Russia would rather be subservient to the United States than China. In advancing a policy of appeasement toward Russia, Prince is forgetting that the Kremlin has no problem telling the Americans what they want to hear. All the better to fool Washington and continue to prepare for the conquest of Alaska in league with China. Canada turning against America? While a policy of splitting Russia from China is doubtful, Trump has begun to split Canada from the United States. What could be more damaging to our security? Trump has talked of annexing Canada, and the Canadians are not treating it as a joke. This rhetoric has united all political parties in Canada against the United States. A Canadian strategist told me, Trump is uniting Canada in opposition to him as I would have never believed. It has been a firestorm here. There is rising hatred of the United States. There is talk of aligning with China. This is a crazy turn of events. Those who think Trump is a political magician need to think again. It is good to be flexible and to get mileage from outrageous statements, but sometimes an outrageous statement can blow you up. Canadians, as well as Americans, are politically and philosophically disoriented. In fact, they are ready to forget strategic realities and adopt insane policies, or make insane assertions. Please keep this in mind. You can destroy an alliance with words, and it does not take very many words. Canada is more united than ever against the United States, a Canadian friend told me. Today we had a provincial premier announce an election in Ontario, the biggest province, and the main reason he is doing this is to get a mandate for battling Trump. The premier says Trump is going to destroy this country and destroy our families and destroy our communities, etc., etc. And this premier is a conservative, so we've got a real problem here. In some respects, Trump is brilliant. In other respects, he can blunder. In this instance, he must backtrack and mend fences.